Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, guys? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast, and this is, I've lost count. Is this like 6 or 7, isn't it? Can't remember.
Something like that.
Zerk
Said yes.
What's up, Zerk? We've got a new co-host here. This is Zerk, the Macaw.
You're going to get in big trouble.
He thinks he's a macaw, I think.
Yep.
No, don't get on the bike.
Tell us about Mr. Zerk. Well, let me go and introduce us all. I'm Jason, Marycarl, and this is Brooke, a.k.a. Mrs. Cog Hill. And this is another episode of the podcast. And like I said, we got a special co-host tonight, Mr. Zerk.
Mr. Zerk, how are you tonight? Yeah, he was going to say he was okay, but he kind of thought again. Zerk is Marycarl's bird, and she actually has more than one that lives in her bedroom. I think it's safe to say that Zerk's about 3 years old.
Yeah.
And Marycarl, why don't you tell us a little bit about Zerk?
Well, he's a white-faced pearl cockatiel, and he turns 3. He's gonna turn 4 in July. Yeah, July. Had him in numerous places. He's moved a lot, and he has 2 friends. Well, one of them's not really his friend, but Peanut, the green cheek conure, and Mondu, the Quaker parrot.
Now, Peanut is his friend.
Yes, Peanut is his BFF.
They're big buddies.
They are, and actually, we got Zerk first. We had Penny, the Bantam chicken.
Go ahead.
And Marycarl had shown some interest in a bird at pet stores and various places. And we befriended a gentleman by the name of Robert Day.
That's right.
And he is the owner of Daybird Aviaries, which is in Pell City, Alabama. And he's a bird breeder. And upon meeting Robert, we decided that it would be best if Marycarl's first bird were to be a cockatiel. And Robert just so happens to raise cockatiels and does a wonderful job, as well as lots and lots of other breeds of birds.
He is a bird expert.
So we felt like we hit the jackpot when we met Robert and his family, because he introduced Marycarl to a lot of things that she was not familiar with. She knew her chickens, but she did not know, like, indoor birds.
Yeah, parrots in general.
And she wanted to know more about them. So, I believe it was September.
Yes, I know the day we got him. It was September the 17th.
Wow. Robert and his family met us at a chicken show in Clanton, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought Zerk to us just as a little, what do you call it? Fledgling?
I guess you would call it a fledgling, but he still had his pearls, which...
He wants you to rub his head.
Yeah, he's doing the head down rubbing. And when pearl cockatiel males are young, they have little dots on them that are white.
Looks like polka dots almost.
Yeah, and...
Looks like little pearls.
Yeah, and they'll lose their pearls when they get older. And you see he doesn't have the little dots on him anymore, but he has a white face and wings. And the females, they'll keep their pearls. The pearls won't, leave.
They won't. And even in just a little bit up into juvenile, you can tell the difference, because the males will lose their pearls and the females will continue to carry those pearls, right? Mm-hmm. And so we got Zerk. He was eating solid food. Robert had done a great job hand raising him. He was very tame, which he does with all of his birds. And Zerk became an immediate hit in our home. And Marycarl was able to start focusing on Zerk because she had lost Penny the chicken. And it happened at a good time.
It did happen at a good time.
It did. He kind of stepped up and filled that void, and boy, is he a smart bird. I think I think that probably all cockatiels have his demeanor, but I'm not sure so many are as eager to learn as he is.
He's just...
If you whistle to him, he just sticks his neck out and
Yeah.
wants to listen.
He loves Marycarl. He loved her from day one. He knew that she was his owner,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks to her, just like she's his mother.
Yep.
And when Marycarl went to school, he would ride to school with us every morning. Marycarl didn't particularly care for going to school. And you did though, didn't you, buddy? And one way to help that morning routine was to get Zerk ready and get him in the car with us and ride to school. And he can... What are some of the things Zerk can do?
He can say hello, sometimes pee-pie. He wants his head rubbed right now. But he can do like this. I call it banging his head. Want to do it? Uh-oh.
He knows various songs.
Yes.
He has a lot of whistling tunes
But
that he knows.
Yes. Y'all know what my favorite is?
What?
Is I taught him how to say, "What's up?"
Oh, goodness.
On the way to school, we would hear...
Yeah, it did not sound like "What's up" at all. However, we did not tell him that. It was the shrillest noise.
It is.
And on the way to school, he always rode with Marycarl. On the way home from school, he always rode on my shoulder.
And would stick his head in your ear.
And
scream.
And squeal, "What's up?" It never failed. I mean, it was just something that happened on a daily basis. "What's up?" And I could have literally strangled Jason for teaching him that. So Marycarl and I wouldn't let Jason say "What's up" anymore. "Oh, you getting tired, buddy?"
He is getting tired.
Yeah.
He can whistle the Andy Griffith really well.
Yes.
The other birds in the room with him has picked up on some of his behavior. They can say hello. They can whistle if you're happy and you know it. And Zerk, instead of saying if you're happy and you know it, the tune goes clap your hands.
He goes,
Zerk goes and bangs his head. See if you can get him to bang his head.
He said he needs head rubs. Come on.
Make him sing. In your fingers. Put your fingers together.
Oh, this is kisses.
Oh, he kisses her.
He's kissing.
He's fixing to sing.
He just wants kisses.
He said he needs to be on the podium. But as you can see, Zerk is a very special bird, and he's a member of our family, as are the other two birds. However, Peanut hates me.
Yes.
Peanut is the green cheek conure. I'm the one who went and picked him up. I'm the one who told him I loved him from day one, and he just does not like me.
He cusses her under his breath.
We can't understand it, but we...
I'm glad we can't understand it. But the ironic thing is, as much as he hates me, Marycarl can pick up the bird like a baby in her hands and hold him.
Like laying on his back.
Upside down.
And he eats Nutriberry food, and he holds it in his...
Yeah, he's a parrot.
I call it hand.
And therefore, he uses his hands to feed himself, whereas Zerk does not do that.
But I've seen some cockatiels will do it, but Zerk just isn't one of those. Isn't that right, buddy?
He said, "Rub my head."
Okay.
And if you don't rub it exactly right, you may get a little bite. But Peanut may be able to appear on an episode in the future. Peanut is a bit more flighty.
Yes.
And if I'm sitting here, he may be a little nervous because, like I said, he doesn't particularly care for me.
And if Peanut hears the microwave, the convection oven, anything that sounds like a beep,
He mimics.
shrilly makes a beep.
Yeah, he does. He mimics
And
it.
he can also holler his own name,
Oh,
Peanut.
Peanut.
His name was Peanut when we got him, and he was about a year old. And they actually thought it was a female, so we plucked a feather just like we did with Nugget, and we sent it to avian DNA testing, and they came back and said Peanut was a man.
Yes.
And so there we go. We found out that Peanut was a man, and the lady who had him thought it was a female. So Peanut is a rescue bird. Zerk is not. Zerk we've had since birth, and I just can't tell you why Peanut doesn't like me. I tell him I love him on a daily basis, and he just, I hate you, under his breath. And
You cut up apples for him.
I do. I cut up all types of fruit, and when I open his cage, he just starts that mumbling under his breath.
Sometimes he'll be Zerk. He'll be what I call eel when he's mad, and he just doesn't have good days sometimes.
Yeah,
and
he does have a bit of a...
He flares up his neck feathers and just goes.
But Zerk, it's almost like Zerk never has a bad day.
No.
Zerk is always happy.
Always happy.
Like I said, if you don't rub his head, absolutely right, he may give you a little nibble, but he's a great pet. He's been an excellent addition to our family.
Loves crayons.
Oh, goodness. And pencils.
And
Like
pencils.
the other day, I couldn't find him, and I always leave a blanket on my desk so he won't chew up anything.
Everything is more like it.
People say goats will eat anything. If he was a goat, I think he's like the definition of a goat. So maybe you should start saying when something eats everything, call him a cockatiel.
That's
Because
right.
a cockatiel will eat everything.
And Marycarl will let Peanut and Zerk out together. They have a little play center on the top of their cage, and they just stay out all day long.
Yep.
And she picks up things that she doesn't want them to chew up, and Peanut stays on his cage about 95% of the time.
I
If he's
agree.
not on his cage, he's
On
hanging
Zerk's
on
cage.
the side of Mondu's cage, growling at him.
Yes, but for the most part, 95% of the time, Zerk is not on the cage.
Yes.
He is exploring.
Like a few minutes ago, I was looking for him. I let him out during the day, and I put them up when they get tired. And Zerk just happened to not be tired. So
Tonight was a good night
and
for him.
he was crawling on the floor and just walking around. There were some shells that Peanut or Mondu had cracked on the ground, and he was just picking up, throwing them down.
He's quite a character.
He is
And
quite a character.
if,
And Mondu, that's the Quaker.
Mondu is very strange. Quaker parrots are cage territorial, so
Tell him what that means.
it means that in the wild they make gigantic nests, and they're kind of considered an invasive species in some parts of the U.S. And
They're actually banned in certain states,
Yes.
aren't
They
they?
are. I think so.
It's illegal to have a Quaker parrot in certain states, but Alabama's not one of them. So
they build these huge nests
On power lines?
lines, and they're probably the size of. They're just huge and like so big that they make power lines fall. He looks like he's watching me,
he does.
He is watching you.
and
So that you think that's what makes them cage
Yes.
territorial?
and they defend those big nests. So they kind of think of their cage as being their nest, but sometimes Quakers will just be weirdos and not be cage territorial. But Mondu's just one of those.
He's
He's
a
cage,
typical
yeah.
typical Quaker, which for the most part they are known to be cage territorial. And Robert at Daybird Aviaries told us to let him come out. Don't reach in, don't grab him, let him come to you. So that's what we do. And he does get to come out. However, he's not good with the other two birds. And I don't know if it's this guy and Peanut or if it's Mondu.
It's mainly Mondu and Peanut. Zerk just kind of backs away from me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zerk's just chill. He'll just take any kind of way. But anyway, we don't let all three of them out together. Mondo has his turn, but he is usually solitary.
And every time I open his cage, what he does is he looks around, then he jumps onto the floor. He puts his wings out a little bit, just jumps.
It's kind of funny because Peanut never gets on the ground.
Never.
Zerk does get on the ground, and Mondo gets on the ground.
Mondo.
Yeah.
But the people we got Peanut from, they had a dog, and I kind of think Peanut was scared of the dog because the dog walked on the floor all the time. And
Yes, he had a.
Maybe.
They told
Yeah.
us that was one reason they had to get rid of him
Maybe.
because the dog. They were scared the dog was going to kill Peanut, and accidentally, and they didn't want that to happen.
He's
So
fixing to go to sleep.
yes.
Zerk loves podcast. You're a good radio host, buddy. He's so precious. But one day, when Zerk rode to school with us, we keep his wings clipped, and that doesn't mean that he can't fly. It means that we keep them clipped so he can't fly to great heights, I should say. So we had what I thought was recently clipped his wings. He rode to school with us every day. When Marycarl would get out of the car,
I clipped his wings that day or the day before.
we have a little bird carrier that when she went to get out of the carpool, we would tell Zerk to step up and put him in the carrier. Therefore, he could never escape.
Every time I put him in it, he would start singing.
Oh, he would start singing every time.
It was like he wanted to come out, but he didn't want to say, I want to come out, so he started singing.
And Marycarl can make this little call to him where she goes, deep, kind of like that, and he responds to her no matter where he is.
Normally, he won't do it if he can see me, but if I wouldn't hid behind something, he would do it.
Yeah.
but-
He would do it. It's like his call back to her, and she's always done it. It's just a beep.
Yeah. He's like, you right here.
So we get home from school, and I say, come on, Zerk. And he gets on my shoulder, and we go to walk in the house, and something spooked him, and he flew. And I don't mean he flew a little bit. He flew in the tip top of a tree in the front yard.
Yes.
And you want to talk about a panic attack. That day, that morning, Brooke just about came unglued.
You was a nervous mama.
I was. And so you know how you can kind of see peripheral vision? I knew where he went. I felt like I knew where he went. So I went around to the side of our house, and I didn't see him. And I thought, oh, my gracious, my heart's starting to beat a little faster because initially I thought I know where he is. And time passes, and I'm calling him. I'm calling him like he's a dog. Zerk, come here. Zerk, come here. Like he was just going to come here. And I don't know how this happened, but this bird came back to me by using that little call that...
Yes, if I can't find him in my room, I'll go and I'll move like I'll get behind the door where he can't see me, and then I'll make that little call, and then I can find him because today he was behind a paper that I had forgot to put up, and the paper's destroyed now. But
Well, the thing is that your little beep and my little beep are different.
Don't sound nothing alike.
But I thought that's the only thing in the world that I knew to do. That's all I knew. And y'all, he called back to me. He called back to me in the top of a tree. And I can just remember reaching my hands up as high as I could. Come here, sir. Come here. Come here. Step up. Step up. Just hollering every way I could. Here she is at school. Jason's at work. I'm in the front yard calling for a bird. And I have read horror stories about birds flying, and we just thought we had that under control with his wings being clipped. But we were new bird owners. We didn't know the ins and outs of how far to clip the wings. We were always so scared we'd clip them too far.
Right.
And that was something we didn't want to do. And so we just didn't have them clipped far enough. And y'all, I'm telling you, that was the scaredest I have ever been for losing my little girl's bird.
he's like, "What? I was going to come back to you the whole time."
I mean, relief set in when he came back. But from that point on, we are very careful if we take him somewhere.
Yes.
And we are very cautious to make sure that his wings are clipped to where he can't fly to great heights and get away from us. But now she's homeschooled, so he doesn't ride to school anymore. But
He's like, "Why can't I just go to school every day?"
he loved his ride to school. Look at him. And what is that called on the top of his head?
It's called a crest, and it's just feathers that he can control. I'm not sure how. I guess it's a muscle that's right there. But earlier, like yesterday, I found one of them in the bottom of his cage, and I cleaned it out.
You came running to me, Mama, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? It's a crest feather. I think it's rare that you find those feathers, isn't it?
Yeah, because they normally just blend in with the bedding, and
gotcha.
it was about that long.
Well, he has expressions that are expressed. Look,
There he
see,
goes.
you're not rubbing his head quite right, and he's going to let you know. But he can use those head feathers to show how he is feeling, and it's quite odd.
Here it goes.
Did he go?
Oh, Marycarl knew he was about to have a bowel movement, and so she has a towel in her lap, and whoa, he wrung the towel. Sorry about that. I got a little tickled.
He's like, yeah, I'm watching you, yeah.
Well, Zerk, you were such a good co-host.
You
and
are a good co-host.
I think Marycarl did a good job explaining all about Zerk.
That's right.
Zerk, I think you did a wonderful job.
Did do a wonderful job.
And maybe you can talk to Peanut and tell him how wonderful you did, and maybe he could make his debut, although Peanut will not sit through this. He could make a quick showing of Peanut.
It won't be 29 minutes.
It will not.
It will
most
be
definitely.
about 5 minutes because Peanut sits on my shoulder, flies somebody's head, flies another person's head.
He has a very
gets
short
back
attention
on my
span.
head, and then he'll just get on the ground and walk towards something and climb it up it.
Yeah.
But I think that you guys, if anybody's interested in birds, you should go over and check out Daybird Aviaries.
That's right. He's got
Because
his YouTube channel.
He does. And y'all, he is the most knowledgeable bird person I could ever imagine.
Yes.
I mean,
And
bird guru is
that's,
the word.
That's what his videos are. It's
That's
just-
what they are. And
it's birds.
and I'm amazed every time I watch one, just at how much knowledge he has, and he can answer any question you may have.
That's right.
So I think Zerk may be ready. Oh, look at there. I think Zerk may be tired out.
I think so too.
Zerk, you want to give everybody kisses? He gave everybody kisses.
Let me see if he'll sing real quick.
No.
He said, no,
Not
ma'am,
tonight."
I'm tired. Well, Zerk, I think you and Marycarl did a wonderful job talking about your
Life.
life. Marycarl's going to skip out on us, and she's going to go put Zerk up. Bye, buddy.
Bye, sir.
And we will carry on.
Oh, I didn't mean to elbow you.
Oh, that's okay. So, there went our only child
That's right.
and her only child.
That's funny.
Marycarl is 11 years old, and
Just turned 11.
she just turned 11, and she is, as you can tell, just a bird fanatic. It's not just chickens, it's birds.
Yeah, it's birds. It's all birds.
It's all birds. She is just fascinated, and therefore she reads and she learns, and anything she's in question about, she researches and
Yes.
she finds out on her own. It's not anything that we've taught her, because heavens to Betsy, I sure don't have the knowledge she does.
No, none.
So I think it's pretty amazing, even though she's my own child, to have as much knowledge as she does
It
at
just
this age.
blows my mind. You've heard me say it before. I've said on other podcasts is that, we can be somewhere and a bird fly by.
It's amazing. And it's not like it just happened this year.
No.
This has been going on for years.
Years.
She might have known her birds before she knew her alphabet, but
Yes.
that's okay.
Yeah, at age 6, she knows, what a northeastern yellow-belly sapsucker
It's just
and what its migration.
It's just
track
amazing
is,
to me. It's amazing to me, and I cannot imagine what her knowledge is going to be as she grows older.
No, it's just
and as
crazy.
technology increases to where she can, be anywhere and get information about
Right.
things that she sees or wants to know more about.
Right.
So, I'm just floored every time she sits down and
It is. Yeah, I'm with you.
But,
I'm with you. Same with chickens. She does.
Same with chickens. And I think that her knowledge of chickens, maybe she got bored with chickens because she, there's only so much you can learn about something. I'm not saying she's so knowledgeable that she can't learn anything else. I don't mean that. I'm just saying that she wanted to broaden her knowledge, and therefore she reached out and branched out to different bird breeds.
Right.
To further that, And
she knows them.
She does. She knows them. When Jason and I had Marycarl, I was 34.
34. I was 22.
Oh, hush.
I was 35.
Yeah, Jason was 35. And the reason that we waited so long is because when I was about 32, I guess. First of all, we wanted all our ducks to be in a row.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, everybody does. You'll never have enough money. You'll never have a perfect house. You'll never have everything. But we felt like we were not in a position where we could support and give all of our, 100% of our time to a child. So we waited, and we waited. And we waited. It wasn't that we couldn't have children. It was just that we felt like the time wasn't absolutely perfect.
Yep.
And time almost slipped away from us.
It did almost slip away from us.
It did. When I was 32, I had a large cyst come up, and it was in female area. I was diagnosed with a gardener's duck cyst, and we really didn't know what that path was going to follow. We didn't know if, what if
right.
Just a minute. We didn't know if I was going to have a hysterectomy or what the protocol was. But here we were. We wanted to have children, but what was gonna happen after this major surgery?
That's right.
So, ended up after several opinions, I had the cyst removed, and I was told that I could get pregnant. There was nothing wrong with, any kind of female organs, but I would have to have a cesarean section.
That's right.
Which was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I couldn't risk tearing that area open where I'd had the cyst removed in the past. So, about a year later, I guess it was, after the cyst was removed, I got pregnant, and we had Marycarl. Of course, I was 34 at the time. It's getting a little late in life to start thinking about having more.
Well, not only that, you didn't have a. I can only judge it by your pregnancy, but it wasn't a smooth pregnancy.
No, it wasn't.
You was extremely sick almost the whole time.
I would say I was sick for 9 months.
Yes, bad sick.
I think that's the amount of time you're pregnant for, isn't it?
Yes.
I was sick for 9 straight months.
And she had a checkup, and you had your general checkup, and your blood pressure had been high.
Yes.
And I won't ever forget, I started packing the bags. And you and your mom thought I was nuts. And they're like, why are you packing the bags? I said, because she's going to have the baby.
I was scheduled for a C-section on January the 7th.
Yep.
And this was a December 28th checkup. And my blood pressure had been high at the previous visits, but they pretty much just told me I wasn't on complete bed rest, but I was told to take it easy and, don't do anything too strenuous, because I was already having some vomiting, some nausea, some things that, I didn't want to have anyway. So we go for the checkup. Jason has this big bag, and I'm just like, boy, you are nuts.
I'm packing.
My mom had not been to any of the checkups, but just because we didn't need her to go, it was not necessary. Jason went to every checkup. And this is not like it's 5 or 6 miles to a checkup. This is to Birmingham, which is an hour and 45 minutes from us.
Right.
And so he went to every single checkup. This is a routine checkup. My mom goes for whatever reason. First one she'd ever went to. Mm-hmm. Jason's got these bags packed. Nuts. We get in there, and they check my blood pressure. They see that I am not well, and they say, if your blood pressure doesn't come down in the next 30 minutes to an hour, we may be having a baby today.
It's exactly what they said.
My doctor was out of the country.
Yep.
Here I was being told that I may be having a baby today, and wasn't prepared. However, my husband was.
Because let me tell you, my biggest fear was you going in labor and I can just like the movies. I'm getting in the car. We're delivering the baby in the back seat on the way to Birmingham. That was just my biggest fear.
Well,
but everybody told me, like, look, it's going to take a long time. It's just not. But, especially as a man, that's at least me, that's the perception I got is that when you go in labor, the baby's on its way. Because, all we got to go by, especially males, is what you see in the movies. And that's typically how it is.
Well, I didn't feel that way at all, nor did I feel like I was fixing to have a baby on December the 28th, because I was already scheduled to have one on January the 7th. And that was 10 days later.
Yep.
So here we are. We're in Birmingham. We're at a 10 o'clock in the morning checkup, and they say if your blood pressure doesn't come down in the next hour, you're going to have a baby today. My mom's with us.
Yep.
My mom lives in Valley Grand with us.
Right next door.
Right next door. And here we are, all three in Birmingham with nobody at home to take care of anything. In one car. My mom doesn't drive well in traffic.
Or at night. How's
she going to get back home? All these things are starting to occur to me that I may have this baby today. And it may be good that this baby is out of my belly because I'm not feeling so hot. My blood pressure was going higher, not lower.
That's right.
And so they kind of got into more of a hurry up mode.
Yes.
They were kind of like, we got to get this baby out today. And I started feeling like it was more serious than what I initially thought. But I had eaten a gravy biscuit that morning. I don't know why, because I had nausea so bad. It just must have been one of those pregnancy cravings.
Yep.
And because I had eaten that gravy biscuit that morning, what time did you eat that gravy biscuit, Miss Cog? 7 o'clock this morning. Okay. Well, it needs to be at least 12 hours later. So we couldn't have the baby until 7 o'clock that night.
That's right.
My mom's with us. We're in one car and we're in Birmingham. So hours are ticking by. I'm just laying in the bed, just controlling my blood pressure, just waiting on the clock. And finally the time comes, and nervous, of course. I'm fixing to have a baby by a C-section. I got so sick once they gave me, well, I don't know why I got so sick, but anyway.
Yeah, they gave you the anesthesia.
Well, the epidural, I had not epidural, a spinal block.
Yes.
And I was feeling pretty numb, but for some reason I got very nauseated. And I can remember saying, I'm fixing to throw up. I got to throw up. They were like, you got to see the baby first. You got to see the baby. You got to see the baby first. And I was like, no, I don't. I got to throw up.
And I remember the guy, because me and him were standing behind the towel or whatever it is.
Yeah, the drape.
By your head. And he was like, well, I got to give it to her. And as soon as he pressed that button,
I was gone.
She was
I was gone.
Just like that.
But Jason told me later that they could not, when she came out, she didn't cry.
She didn't cry.
And he said that there was fear in the.
Yeah, because I don't remember what it is now, but there's like 4 or 5 things they check, and crying is one of them. And she didn't cry.
And of course I was out of it, so I didn't know anything about it, but it took a little while, didn't it?
It took a little while for her to cry.
But she was fine. She was completely healthy. She had a little jaundice. She was a little over 6 pounds. I was fine. We were...
Well, sort of, kind of, you were fine.
I was going to get to that.
Okay.
So we go into a room, and the deal was 3 days with a C-section. So I was expected to stay 3 days. Well, this was December 28th, so that looked like January the 1st I was going to get to go home. Mm-hmm. Well, here, Alabama was playing in the national championship this year.
It was the first one.
It was...
since Nick Saban had been there. Yeah.
2009.
Yep.
And Jason, being a huge Alabama fan, no offense if y'all are not Alabama fans, I'm sorry. His first priority was his family, but of course, he wanted to watch the game. We wanted to be home. We wanted to celebrate this national championship at home. So we're in a room. We're expected to go home January the 1st. And on that second day I was just not right. I mean,
Right.
I had not held my baby.
Right.
Jason had been taking care of her all by himself. I can remember you putting a diaper on backwards one
I
time
put a diaper on backwards.
because it was your first one ever. We didn't know. We had never changed a diaper.
I became a swaddling machine, though.
My mom's gone home at this point.
That's right.
We had someone come and get her and take her home. She went home the same night that I delivered because things had to be taken care of at home. So Jason puts his first diaper on backwards, and I'm not even feeling up to holding my child. And on that second, was it the evening of the second day?
I think so.
I go to the restroom. I went and took a shower first.
Maybe.
And when I got out of the shower, I passed out.
Yeah, you passed out. You remember you saying I'm fixing to pass out. So I
fixing to
ran and
pass
caught
out.
you. I ran and caught you. Well, at this point, I'm halfway in the bathroom and halfway out. I have no way to. I'm looking at the red button above the bed, and I'm like, I can't reach it. And then it dawned on me that they got that pull chain
In the bathroom.
in the bathroom by the toilet.
That's where I was.
And so I stretched over because I'm holding you, and I pull the pull chain. And of course, the nurse comes on, and I said, my wife just passed, and I got out. And I swear to y'all, there was 30 nurses
And doctors.
in that room before I could get passed out of my mouth.
Well, I was not with it at this point. I don't really remember much after that, but I knew that before this, they had wanted me to walk up and down the hall.
Which we were doing.
But I was having the hardest time. I was like, I just can't do it. I could get about halfway down the hall and I say, I don't have the energy to do it anymore. I can't do it. And I was so worried that I wasn't doing something right, that I was just being weak.
Right.
And that I wasn't pushing myself hard enough. Well, upon getting me up and getting me in the bed and then looking up and seeing, it was just like you were in an operating room because there were people everywhere. We found out that I was losing blood, and we didn't know where.
Didn't know where.
They did, I guess, a CBC to determine, how much blood I'd lost.
Right.
And I'd lost quite a bit, but they didn't know where it was coming from because I
Right.
had no visible signs of blood loss. It was internally. And so they said, if we don't find out where it's coming from, we're going to have to open her back up. Well, we didn't want that to happen. So I had an opportunity to have a blood transfusion or to lay in the hospital for potentially 30 more days or ever how long it would have taken. So I opted for the blood transfusion because, this was life or death, basically.
Yeah.
And so I had the blood transfusion. I was O negative, so I had to have O negative blood because you can't, when you're O negative, you can't get any blood except for O negative. You have to have, that specific type. And I can remember a little Asian lady sitting in there with me because they said that they have to have somebody sitting with you during a blood transfusion in case there's any problems occur. And I thought to myself, boy, I knew that it was serious, but if somebody's sitting there watching you the whole time you're getting blood, this is really serious.
This is serious.
And so this is what December the 31st, maybe?
I think so. Somewhere
December
in there.
the 31st.
I know you were in there a total of 6 or 7. It was
7 days.
7 days.
I was in there seven days, and finally I was released.
And they never found. They
found-
said it may heal on its own, and that's what they were checking for. So they was constantly monitoring you, and it did. It healed on its own.
I did. I got the blood transfusion, and luckily I can't remember what that is called, but it's a point system, and I ended up not going down. It ended up continuously
go up.
raising.
That's right.
And they wanted it to be a certain number before I went home, and it did. It raised to that level,
That's
so
right.
we were able to be released, but not without a lot of worry as to what caused that problem and
That's right.
what caused my blood. It was called preeclampsia with my high blood pressure before
Right.
I gave birth, but the doctor told us that, it probably wasn't a wise decision to get pregnant again. First of all, the blood pressure issue. Second of all, I, had a lot of bleeding occur, and we have a wonderful, healthy child.
That's right.
That's kind of why we have one child. And, yes, we could have took a chance, but I was, 34 years old. I had kind of waited a little while, and, with the problems that occurred, it worked out for the best.
It did work out for the best, and it was that was that day when you feel that was probably one of the scariest moments because I was freaking out.
Well, you didn't need to be freaking out because it was.
And they put that big old sign up says fall risk.
Fall risk, and I think they do that every time now.
That's right.
But this was not an every time occurrence. This was 2009.
Yeah, that's right.
Things were different back then. But
and you didn't feel good for a while. I did most of everything with Marycarl for at least the first. I don't know if it was a month or so,
but
for a while.
Time.
Yeah, because I did the bottles, and
yes, and
I basically had to teach you when you got up to par.
Yeah, Jason had to go to work, and then he had to help me at the same time. So it was a lot of life changing moments at once.
It was
for both of us, and you don't know how somebody's going to react. We had been married for 9 years when we had Marycarl, and yes, I knew him because we had known each other for 16 years.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out how long we'd been married and dating. 16 years altogether. Yeah, I knew him, but you don't know how somebody's going to react in a parental situation. But I'm going to tell y'all one thing. This fella stepped up, and he became a daddy in one day.
Oh, the thing I remember is our first appointment. And so we get her packed up. Of course, we're new parents, and you're still kind of sick, and I'm trying to do everything. And I get the diaper bag, and I'm just packing everything in there I'm supposed to pack. Coldest day of the year. I remember it was so cold.
I think she was about a week old, so it was about January the 15th, something like that.
So then we have to go to Montgomery because that's where a pediatrician is. And so we go to Montgomery.
Which is about an hour from us.
And we're sitting in the waiting room, and Marycarl,
she had a bowel movement.
No, we didn't know it was a bowel movement. We thought it was just gas. She just cut one. It was so loud that the woman at the reception desk, she leans over. And I'm like, it ain't me. That was Marycarl. Man, it sounded like Grizzly Adams ripped one over
Jason's holding her because I was obviously, still sore, still stitched, couldn't pick anything up, still,
Yep.
He was daddy. He was.
Had her in that, you had the
the convertible car seat.
All together thing and sitting there, and I said, well, she just passed some gas. And then I started smelling something, and I looked, and it's like she exploded.
Well, you didn't realize that, though. You asked the receptionist, is there a place that
I knew that she had used the bathroom, but I didn't know to what extent until they took me in the back and said, here, just use one of the rooms, and that's what I did, and y'all...
And he went by himself because I was not strong enough to literally walk to the back for an unnecessary trip when Jason could change the diaper himself.
It looked like she'd been in a mud fight. There was green from one end to that child to the other. I'm trying to clean it off. All I'm doing is just spreading it worse. Well, finally get her all cleaned up. And guess what I realized? We ain't bring no extra clothes. Her clothes were green. Coldest day of the year. I brought diapers. We ain't had no extra clothes.
Well, we had already gotten halfway to Montgomery.
And forgot the papers.
And forgot the papers from the hospital, which we had to have. So we had already turned around one time halfway to Montgomery to go back and get our paperwork. Well, here we are at the pediatrician's office in Montgomery, which is about 70 miles from home, with not an extra change of clothes.
No clothes. None.
Coldest
Zero.
day of the year.
Coldest day of the year. We had a blanket, so of course they're all laughing. They think it's pretty comical. So we ended up I just ended up wrapping around the blanket, real good, and took her on back. That was, but my favorite moment with her is when we was in Montgomery.
No, we were in Millbrook.
Why did we stopped at a Target or Walmart?
We were at a Walmart.
And I can't remember why we stopped there.
It was something we had, maybe formula or something we were out of that we had to have.
So, Marycarl.
I know what it was. It was a specific kind of pacifier that we couldn't find anywhere else.
Marycarl only wanted this. That's right. I remember that now.
She's real little.
So she's small. And so her pacifier had dropped out in her car seat. And so I'm unbuckling her, grab the pacifier, and I put it
backwards in your mouth.
In my mouth.
Like he's got the handle in his mouth.
And I'm getting her out. And then I look down, and there's green, all over my hands. And I'm like, oh my God, y'all look at this right here. And then I realized I tasted something. She had gone, and it had gotten all over the pacifier. I looked like I've been eating barbecue ribs.
I can remember to this day.
You started crying, laughing so hard. I was like, man, this is, I'm spitting out, you know what, out of my mouth. Just, you're dying laughing.
I'm dying laughing.
Nothing. And so you end up going in.
I went in, and I can remember.
You went in to get wet wipes or something. What'd you go get?
I went to go get a pacifier.
Yeah, but
that was my initial thing, but I laughed. I mean, I know people were looking at me like that girl's on something because she's just laughing walking down the aisles. I was literally just walking down the aisles, just. It was not funny to Jason, but it was funny to me because they had to sit in the car while I went in and laughed all the way to the pacifier aisle. And got a new pacifier for Jason to stick in his mouth. It was an interesting day.
Oh my gracious!
So, there's a couple of Marycarl baby stories for you.
That's right.
Not trying to scare anybody away from becoming pregnant. That was not the intention at
Oh,
all.
no.
Because everybody's situations are different, and you know, we tried to do everything we could to prepare, and. I don't care how much you prepare. Some things you're just never prepared for.
Yeah, you're not prepared for having it. You know, number 2 all wrapped around your face.
No, don't stick that, daddies. Don't stick that pacifier in your mouth because you don't know what's on it.
Oh man! Didn't think twice. Just popped it in my mouth.
So, if Zerk didn't entertain y'all enough, I hope this did.
That's right.
But I enjoyed laughing all the way through Walmart. I hate to say that, but I did. It was a funny moment.
Oh, me. Oh, speaking of Marycarl, a lot of questions lately has been about her name. It is Marycarl. I know we're Southern, and people that don't talk Southern pick up as maybe Carol, but it's not. It's Marycarl.
All one word, Marycarl.
And the Mary, my grandmother was Mary, and your mom's Mary. And Carl was your dad's name.
That's right.
And so that's where Marycarl came from.
We tossed around so many names. It just, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because some of it's comical. But I had always said that if I ever had a little girl, it would be Marycarl. And that wasn't on the top of my list. You would think that, you know, if that was going to be your name, then
Yes.
you wouldn't be even thinking about anything else.
Well,
But
you start second guessing yourself.
yeah, I guess that's what it was. But I had a boy name picked out, and it was, you know, just stuck. But no, we had a hard time finding that name, Marycarl, and here it was right in front of us the whole time. So Mary's my mother's name, Jason's grandmother's name, Carl was my daddy's name, who's now passed away. So that's where that name comes from, and that answers, I guess, that question.
That answers that question. We got been asked that a lot lately. So that is where Marycarl's name came from.
That's right.
Next week we may talk about gardening and what we got going on and what we're going to plant.
Oh, good thinking.
And I know Marycarl would love to be involved in that because she is a miniature garden expert as well.
She is. And maybe right before we end next week, she could go down and grab Peanut and see if she can't.
Let's do that.
Well, we're not going to plan anything in stone, but that'll be
That sounds like a good plan.
That sounds good to me, too.
Sounds good.
So I hope y'all enjoyed listening to our poopy stories and and things like that because
That's right.
it was quite comical.
We'll catch y'all on another one. Y'all go eat some barbecue. Y'all be good.